Sea of Galilee. But don't forget, this was the source of livelihood for so many farmers and so many fishermen throughout centuries. And we do know that the number of people that lived around the lake in Jesus' days was much higher than the number of people living around the lake today. And the reason is, of course, very simple. The access to fresh water. Why should one carry water from distances? Why should one search for water? Why should one drill for water if he's got it within reach? And of course, the qualities of the water and what's related to it is what Tiberias is famous for, and these are the hot mineral springs. Hot springs coming out from the ground, which contain sulfur and bromide and chloride magnesium, and have been a great relief to those that suffered from terrible skin problems in Bible days. We know from the historical records and the Holy Jewish Scriptures, the Talmud and the Mishnah, that there were thousands of lepers that dwelled around the shores of the lake, because leprosy in Bible days was a terrible disease. It was a disease of no cure. Some of those folks would find relief from their condition in the hot mineral springs of Tiberias that are still in existence today and are still attracting thousands of people every year. Therefore, one can assume that many of those who followed Jesus at that particular period were among those lepers who lived over here in the big numbers. We assume today, estimating according to the number of sites which have been discovered over here in our archaeological digs, the number of people that lived around the lake in Jesus' days was close to 500,000. Today, including Tiberias, you wouldn't even have 175,000. It just shows you how attractive this whole area was to so many, of course, because of those reasons I just mentioned. I would not suggest you all to be deceived by this very calm sort of water. Anyone who did not see a storm on the Sea of Galilee never saw a storm in his life. And I can tell you by experience what we already experienced on this boat. You can ask Esty, our hostess, and the lady that accompanies you, what we once suffered on this boat when we took out a little boat all the way from Tiberias towards this seafood restaurant we just came from, in a calm lake like today. And as we are nearing the eastern shores, all of a sudden those white caps show up, and all of a sudden those big waves. One of those waves was so big it actually broke the front window of the pilot's cabin. And everyone was sitting with the life jackets and they sang every Christian anthem they ever knew. And I've never seen so much devotion in my life. So once they have this eastern wind known as Sharkiya, which eats this body of water with tremendous force, one could not even imagine what a storm can be on this lake. Folks, 2,000 years ago, a Galilean teacher called Yeshua came from the nearby city of Nazareth and began its ministry along the shores of this beautiful lake, and in a way changed the world. Many of the miracles of Jesus performed around this lake took place on the very northern eastern shores, at this area where the Jordan River is flowing into the Sea of Galilee, because this is an area which is the richest with fish even today, which attracted many of the fishermen to this area, which naturally was where many of the followers of Jesus came from. The mountains on the right-hand side, or behind you right now, are the Golan Heights. Those innocent-looking mountains have been the greatest threat of the existence of the nation of Israel for 19 years, between 1948 to 1967, when those mountains were occupied by the Syrians, and there wasn't a target in the land in the north, and there was not a farm in the north, and there was not a settlement in the north or a kindergarten which was not within reach of the artillery of the Syrians from the top of the Golan Heights. And for 19 years we had to live underground like the rats, bringing up our children in trenches and bunkers. not being able to raise our heads. Even the fishing boats were a target for some of those snipers. And only after 1967, after the 6 Days War, all of a sudden an unfamiliar calm and peace came down to this area. And we are going to be on those mountains tomorrow. And you're going to be looking down into Israel the way the Syrians did for 19 years to understand a little bit the significance of this place from the strategical point of view. To understand why Israel is so stubborn about a piece of land which is not more than 70 miles long and 22 miles wide at the widest point. It's not because there are any treasures over here or any gold in those mountains. It is just a feeling of security that it gives us as a nation by us being on top of those mountains and not the Syrian batteries of artillery. And there is no guarantee and no references and no promises of no superpower in the world or no world organization which can replace our being on those mountains.